Not just in football, basketball, baseball, but in your everyday life, you strive for success, or at least you should be. Whenever you get to the top and you start to see some of that success, you want to build on it. You don't want to go in the opposite direction. You want to continue to build your empire and get better and better each and every day in each and every season. And well, you see where things get controversial, and the main topic of this video, Georgia football just won the national championship. We know that. And instead of building on that national championship, they're already heading in the wrong direction. What we're going to talk about in this video is very intriguing because a lot of people have mixed emotions. I also found it quite odd that people that are the most mad about this situation are Georgia fans. When your own fan base who just won a championship for the first time in years is already mad about where the program is going, it's not good news. Let's just say we have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about in today's video. Of course, if you're new to the channel or simply not subscribed, I appreciate it. If you join our family, hit that subscribe button and leave a like for more. And now without further ado, let's get into it. I guess we'll start here. A Georgia player tweeted this out and then deleted it, saying, "Some of the things I'm reading are sickening." He tweeted that out yesterday. When things are getting to the point where the players on the teams are noticing and tweeting about it, I would say it's concerning and it's a red flag. I know what some of you are probably sitting there saying. What in the heck is going on? There's more to it than what I'm about to say, and we'll touch on that in just a second, but it starts with the wide receiver coach who just left, and also one of the top receivers just left. I wouldn't say the receiver coach leaving, Cortez Hankton, is that big of a deal, but the wide receiver, it tells you something more. Here's where things really start to get interesting and they start to heat up. Yesterday, Stetson Bennett announced he's coming back to Georgia. Why does that matter? Because right after he announced that, the star wide receiver Jermaine Burton announced he's transferring. And no, before some of you try to say, oh, that's a coincidence, it wasn't. He doesn't want to play for Stetson Bennett, and that's a problem. Jermaine Burton has made it clear he'd rather play for JT Daniels, and he wants a quarterback that's going to feed him the ball. That's confirmed, and that's the cold hard truth. That's not me trying to make up some false narrative. And if you don't believe me, last year in one game against Mississippi State, Jermaine had 8 catches for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. Who was the quarterback? JT Daniels. You may not agree with everything I say on this channel, but I think we can all agree with this. If Stetson Bennett's your quarterback, you're not going to have a day where you have 200 yards and 8 catches and 2 touchdowns. It's just not going to happen unless you're playing Georgia Southern or UAB. Before you form your opinion or even comment about it, I'm going to ask you guys a question and I'll answer it myself. If you was a top wide receiver, would you want Stetson Bennett to be your quarterback? It's not even close. I don't even have to think about it. I don't want to play for Bennett because I'm not going to get a lot of catches and a lot of yards to improve my draft stock. Yeah, I can work on my run blocking, but outside of that, if you want to have 80 catches and over 1,400 or 1,500 yards, Georgia and Stetson Bennett is not the school you want to play for. We'll talk more about Bennett in just a second. What's being leaked out and the rumors about Jermaine Burton, it's not looking good for Georgia fans because it has been announced that Alabama is the front runner to land him. That has been confirmed that Bama is the front runners, and also the offensive coordinator Pete Golden has followed him on Twitter. And if that wasn't enough for you, Trayshawn Holden subtweeted his tweet and said, "Call me real quick, let me talk to you." Oh man, Georgia, and I'm talking to the Georgia fans. This is not what you like to see. You're coming off of a championship. You should be at an all-time high, and top players, more importantly, top wide receivers and skilled position players should be wanting to join and transfer to your school, not the school you just beat in the national championship. I'm sure some of you understand the problem, but if you don't, how do you not see it? It's clear as day. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen, punters, kickers, all the non-skilled position players, they matter a ton because without them, you don't get to see these skilled players do what they do. But when it's all said and done, how does a team separate themselves from the pack? Their 5-star recruits are better than your 4 and 3-star recruits. And how you build a legendary program like Alabama and why they're always in the championship games is because they get the best of the best at every single position. And no, I'm not just talking about skilled players. I'm talking about offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties, running backs, punters, kickers. Every position, they're getting the best guys, and the best players at those positions want to go to Alabama. Do you see where I'm coming from and you see the difference with Georgia? Georgia can't say that just yet. You see where I'm going with this? On Georgia, they can't necessarily say that because, yeah, they get all the defensive players, linebackers, safeties, cornerbacks, defensive linemen. But on the offensive side of the ball, wide receivers, quarterbacks, they don't get the best of the best. Or let me rephrase that, they have gotten their fair share of 5-star recruits at the quarterback and wide receiver position, but it's not really popular just yet to be a wide receiver and go to Georgia. Whereas for Alabama, if you're a 5-star recruit wide receiver or you're in the transfer portal, that's the school to go to because you're going to shine and be a first rounder. Look what happened with Jameson Williams. He was riding the bench at Ohio State and now he's about to be a multi-millionaire because he went to Bama. And where does it all go back to? Where does it start? Your quarterback. Stetson Bennett is the reason these receivers, Jermaine Burton, is wanting to transfer. I do want to throw this in there. This got tweeted out 2 minutes ago as to when I'm making this video. Lane Kiffin met today with JT Daniels and Jermaine Burton. He has told a pretty legitimate source that both of these players are a quote-unquote package deal. I don't want to say I'm shocked by that, but I do think that's big-time news. I mean, Burton is not just a regular receiver. I think he can be elite. And JT Daniels, if he's in the right system, imagine Daniels and Burton at Ole Miss. They could easily be one of the top teams in the SEC again. I also want to throw in there, I do believe there is some extra motivation for JT to remain in the SEC and possibly match up and play against Georgia in the championship. That's going to be something interesting we got to keep our eyes on, but let's get back on topic with Bennett. Or my bad, we're not even going to talk about Bennett really, we're going to talk about the Georgia fans. So the Georgia fans, I wouldn't even say they have mixed emotions. Most of them are mad and they're kind of sad at the news that Bennett's returning. They don't want him as their quarterback either. It's kind of funny if you had to ask me, because when they won the championship, all I saw on Twitter and Instagram was, oh yeah, Bennett proved all of you wrong, this and that and blah, 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 blah. And when he says, hey guys, I'm coming back, they're like, wait, what? We thought you was out of here, man. These Georgia fans are wild. Look what some of them are saying. LOL. How do you come back to college after winning a natty? At age 24, go out on top, dog. Here's a good one I really like. It's kind of long, but it's worth a read. I don't understand why people are upset about this. God forbid the quarterback that led us to a national championship and was thus named offensive MVP come back for another year. So he's saying, what's wrong with it? Somebody replied, because real fans respect Stetson, but know that Georgia's historic defense won the natty. And that's 100% true. That's where I stand on it. I respect Bennett. He had a great drive, and he was clutch in the fourth quarter. There's no question about it. But everyone knows with any IQ, the defense was the reason you was there and the reason you won the game. Those were some of the better comments on Instagram. People weren't as nice. Somebody said, so this is why everyone's leaving, huh? Under that comment, I get he won us a natty, but he ain't gonna do it again. Under that, bad news after bad news today for Georgia fans. And last but not least, we had fun with him for sure, but it's time to move on. The Great Debate NFL said, man won a natty and Georgia fans still don't appreciate this dude, and that's facts. I'm starting to understand and realize why Bennett does not like social media and he has a flip phone. This man was the quarterback of the team who won the national freaking championship, and yet he's still getting hate, not just from normal and casual viewers, but his own fans. It doesn't get much worse than that. And I couldn't imagine what they'd be saying if they didn't win the championship. That's all the comments I'm going to read. I could read off thousands where people are disrespecting him and saying this and that, but I think you all get the point. Last but not least, before we end off this video, I want to address this, and it's really the main topic of this video and what I was saying when we first started. What did I say at the very beginning of this video? Whenever you get to the top, whenever you reach some of that success, you want to build on it. You don't want to go backwards. Getting to the top isn't easy. It's not the hardest part of it. The hardest part of everything is remaining at the top and sustaining success over time. If you don't understand what that means, I'll dumb it down even more. It's harder to remain number one than to get to number one. You can have a great year and be ranked the number one team, but when it really gets hard is when you're at that number one spot. Can you retain it? And that's where things start to get controversial when Stetson Bennett is your quarterback and the leader of the team. Here's why I believe it's controversial. Do I think Stetson Bennett is a great quarterback and he can lead Georgia to back-to-back national championships just by himself? No. Here's my biggest question, and I'm talking to the people that are laughing at Bennett for coming back, and also Georgia fans. If you don't want to be your quarterback, well, who else could do better? We'd be having a completely different conversation if JT Daniels was still on the roster, but now that he's left, what other quarterback could you use? The quarterback room heading into next year is Bennett, Vandergriff, Carson Beck, I think that's his first name, and Gunnar Stockton. For your normal and typical team, you would say, okay, Bennett, he's going to be a great and mature leader, and maybe one of the guys could take over midway through the season or the year after. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. That's where I'm going to contradict myself. I'm going to take a step back. You thought I was going to say Stetson Bennett coming back was good for Georgia, but not so fast. Like I was just saying and talk about, is Bennett your best option in the first couple of games? Yes, I think we can all agree for that. He's been at Georgia for 2 years, we know what to expect, and he can game manage a game. But however, for that sole reason right there, that is why I think Georgia is taking a step backwards with Bennett as your quarterback once again. You're not being innovative at the quarterback position, and you're putting all the weight on your defense's shoulders, and we've seen what happens when you play an offense that has all their weapons in Alabama. They're going to light you up, and Stetson Bennett simply can't keep up with teams that do that. I do have some good news. Georgia plays in the SEC East, and that conference isn't very good outside of Tennessee. So once again, Georgia's going to have an easy cupcake schedule to get to the championship game, where more than likely you're going to face Alabama. But this time the tables have turned, and this is a different video for a different day. Alabama's going to have what looks to appear a good defense next year, and Georgia's defense isn't going to be as dominant. What's going to happen next year, and for my Georgia fans, get ready. It's going to feel like deja vu. You're going to have the same exact quarterback controversy. Stetson Bennett's going to be good enough to manage the games and beat the sorry teams, but you may have some backups who are more talented that could lead you to that national championship. Next year, Bennett's not going to be able just to hand the ball off and make a couple of throws here and there. He's going to have to go out there and win some games. Can he do that? I don't think so. My bad, let me change that statement. I don't think, I know so. Bennett's not going to lead you in a heavyweight contest where they win 45-41. Well, Matt, what do you mean against Alabama? He was 6 for 7 in the fourth quarter and had 2 touchdowns, and yes, I give him his credit, but that was only a couple of throws here and there. Here's the last thing I'm going to say. Bennett is the right answer for the first 5 to 6 games, but long term, he's not the solution. So why not give one of these younger guys like the freshman coming in, I love, Gunnar Stockton, a chance so he can be your quarterback for the next 2 to 3 years? Anybody with a working brain understands that Gunnar Stockton, the freshman coming in, he's more talented and probably already better at quarterback than Bennett is right now. It's just flat out sad that it doesn't matter how good Gunnar Stockton is at quarterback. He could go 100 for 100 in spring practice. Kirby Smart's so naive, he wouldn't even think about starting him. And that's my biggest problem. There's not going to be an open quarterback battle when there should be. I'm not too sure if any of you are familiar or kept up with this, but when Bryce Young was coming in Alabama as a freshman, almost everybody thought he was going to start and expected him to start. In reality, Mac Jones beat him out for the job, and look at how great he's been. I'm telling you right now, Kirby is going to mess up not making this a quarterback battle when he really should. Your defense literally saved you last year, Kirby. We'll really see how good of a coach you are next year. I'm interested. Let me know your thoughts down below. But with that being said, I was going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you know the chat, wait, hit that subscribe button. Leave a like for more. As always, I'm out. Peace.